So earlier today, me and one of my world racers, we had a meeting where we kind of prayed over just our world race in general, and we just prayed about struggles that we're having and just kind of where we are. And I've never prayed in a situation like that before, where it was really one-on-one. And I've always, every time I've prayed out loud, I've always spent the majority of my prayer thinking, oh, I wonder what I'm gonna say. You know, I'm gonna spend the whole entire time she's praying, not listening to her, but trying to plan out my prayer so I sound like I'm a good prayer. So I was doing that, and then I decided that I was gonna stop, and instead of trying to pray what was right, pray what I actually thought and pray what I actually felt. And so for the first time that I can remember, when I was praying out loud, and when I was praying, I wasn't focusing on how I felt and what I was being conscious about. I was praying what came to mind. And so I feel like in the time praying, two main themes came out to me, and two things, one of which actually got me so worked up that I felt the urge to just start crying, but I didn't because that would have been weird. But anyway, and so these two things I'm going to talk about just to kind of get in the whole world race mindset, and then we'll see where we'll go. So the first thing that I was praying about was our return home, and it was kind of how when we get back, I don't want to just come back and be able to live the life that I've lived thus far. I don't want to come back and be able to just accept what we accept now and look at all the sin and look at all the faults that are in the world and be okay with that. I don't want us to be able to come back into this life and live as we do now. I want us to come back and be completely wrecked for the ordinary and have our hearts so changed that when we see how we've been living, realize how horrible it is and how off we are from what God has planned for us, that we can't live this way anymore. And that we are so changed. My prayer for just all of my teammates and myself is that we are so changed by what God has planned for us that when we come back, we can't be who we are now. Not that we don't want to be, but that we literally cannot be who we are now, because He has so much more out there for us, and we just don't know what it is now. And so I pray that we are opened up to what we have, so that when we get back, things that are acceptable now are not acceptable to us anymore, and that when we see the faults and the failures and the shortcomings of this life, we can't live with those anymore. And when we see things like human trafficking and prostitution and slavery, we can't accept that how we do now, where it's just a statistic, where it's just something that happens, where we see that and it's something that we have to change. So that was the first thing that kind of hit me really hard, and it was really a conviction. And then the other thing was kind of, it wasn't really a vision, it was just more something that I saw, and I was like, you know, that's really what I want to be. And it was kind of a fire, like a wildfire that was rolling down the mountain. And how when there's a wildfire, it leaves behind just scorched and burned trail behind it, so you can find where the origin of the fire is, and you can find the whole way that it went. And I prayed that that's what we are, that we're not just gonna go in and be a missionary for 1 month, and we're gonna go in and change something for a month and love on little kids for a month and then leave and just leave it how it was, but that we're gonna be a fire, and that when we go somewhere, there's a trail. And that when we go somewhere, it's gonna be like when Jesus was somewhere, where there will be people going, what happened here? You know, there's gonna be people looking for people to ask and be like, why did this happen? What is going on? And that we don't just go and maybe change one person's life, but we leave a huge trail behind us, and we have people following us because they want what we have. And we have people going with us and walking alongside us because we are changing things, and we are bringing the kingdom to whatever location we're at. And it's not just, you know, by chance, or it's not just by our works, but it's God working through us, and He's changing nations. And it's not anything that, and I feel like this is something that God has put on my heart, and it's not saying, oh, well, this is what you should strive for. He's telling me that this is what our squad is going to do. And He's saying it's not going to be like any other world race squad before. It's not going to be like any of the thousands of other world racers or missionaries that have gone to these places before, because we are going to be different, and we are going to start something different this time, and we are going to start some new movement, some new revelation that everyone is going to want to know what is going on there. And it's going to be in the newspapers, it's going to be on the news, because it's going to be such a big deal, and it's never been seen before. And that wasn't just kind of like a cool thought that I had, because I've had that before. I'm like, I really hope I get to meet a monkey. I'm gonna make a monkey friend. He's gonna be my buddy. It was more of a, this is what is going to happen, and God was giving me a vision of how he's going to work through me and the people that I am going with and my teammates and my squad mates. He's going to work through us, and he's going to bring this. This is going to be an actual thing, which obviously I feel pretty passionate about. So yeah, that was kind of what I got out of my prayer today.